Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Denmark versus the Netherlands. You saw on your screen there, double draw. It doesn't quite happen. You can't draw from wrong, fortunately enough.
Yeah. Otherwise there'll be a lot of disappointing competitive games finishing with a draw on control. Sometimes it feels worse than losing.
Sometimes. Remember when control was best of 5?
Oh, I remember.
Terrifying days. Let's get into the game. Just like it's going to be Lijiang Tower as our first map. Night Gardens being the stage. Denmark and Netherlands showing up absolutely huge so far. Netherlands definitely the dark horse coming out of groups, beating Finland. Now making it all the way here. They've had some extremely close games thus far. And I gotta say, Facility and A10 just make a mean DPS duo.
Neither of these teams, I believe, have made it to playoffs before in an Overwatch World Cup. Netherlands and Denmark both for now going to be rolling out on the better comp. Just got to feel out how the opponent's going to play. Facility versus Fish is going to be a key duel here, Jules.
Yeah, that it is. Facility has a little bit of advantage in this case, as there's a nice little backboard of just the sinking pit that is the outside of the Night Gardens. Bruce and A10 cleaning up the rest of Denmark. Rather quick team fight, in fact. As Netherlands getting an advantage in terms of space there, of course, like I just said, you can just punch people off into the abyss. They are going to get the control of the first cap and gain some additional time. So I wonder where Denmark are going to go. It looks like they are going to just venture towards White Room.
Likely a bit of it they do run through the back here instead of go over this, go over the bridge, considering that they could be halted and boots. Very easy to do that. Kellex making sure to check up there to make sure they aren't going to get booted this point.
Super early Coalescence stands going super low, but look at that in the back. Crusade and both DPS from Netherlands just destroying Denmark, who didn't even look to the right, it felt like. It was like, okay, follow up with the Coalescence scaler, let's go, push on forward. Oh, Dan's is low, everybody turns to the left. Who's behind them? Well, A10 and Facility are.
Yeah, coming in from all angles here, Jules. The aggression from the Netherlands is really what's setting them apart right now. Denmark are trying to make these rotations. They cannot control the engagement, so his Facility is going to be the one striking first. Or Tri-Spear, Crusade comes in. He's playing a very aggressive Lucio right now, and it's paying dividends in the side here. A10 looking for some ult charge.
They spotted him once again. Meteor Strike from Facility, waiting for the hold. There it is, there's the damage. Bad news right now for Molfig, trapped on the other side of the walls, of the shields even. No healing available. A10 with a bit of a victory spin. They find a team kill in Netherlands. Just demolishing Denmark right now. It's such a hard point to cap though, and to assault, of course. You wander into, Death Blossom, of course, the Meteor Strike as well, and Denmark expended basically everything to try and survive.
No mercy from the Dutch side right here. Both of the Netherlands' DPS ultimates have been expended, but now they're ready to go with a Gravitic Flux. Morph hasn't even got his first yet. It's going to be Coalescence versus Coalescence.
Look at that, just no hesitation from Bruce or the Netherlands. They do use that Flux to push Denmark back. Coalescence through as well. Flux coming through from Denmark, but the beat is going to be there. Netherlands have such a nice spot on point right now. Facility's just waiting. They can just wait until they push onto the point because they know they need to. Molfik's going to fall, and Netherlands now building up to 90%. It's going to be about a stall game for Denmark to try and get back onto the point, but I don't think it's going to even happen.
It's going to be so decisive. Kellex is still going to be around, going to be available, trying to come in. Still going to last for long though, Jaws. A10's down. It's not going to be enough for Denmark, realistically.
Nice little fade there from the accretion, but Facility chasing up the Doomfist. OT is still ticking down, and Molfig is back on the ball, as well as a Winston, the DLC character.
What hero's that?
I don't know, you tell me. Shaq's coming in with a big Blossom though. Tilling out Facility is going to be a good start, but they need a little bit more. A10 coming back on the Tracer. He's going to take out Henningsen, and this should just be it. This Coalescence, just too much pressure in the front line. Too much sustained healing and damage, and A10 cleans up with another couple of kills. A 4K for the Tracer. And that'll be Netherlands securing the first stage 100% to 0.
Man, those heroes that were brought in with the Overwatch 2 trailer, George, they're getting quite a bit of work done. This Tracer just getting an instant buff after she starts throwing some cryo pulse bombs into the middle of some massive old mecha. Now though, we're going over on to Night Market. Netherlands and Denmark. There's a good chance, George, that both these guys get out of groups and into bracket play. And that would be unprecedented because they'd be knocking out both Russia and Canada, both of whom have basically featured in almost all of our playoffs with the exception of Russia last year.
Pretty intense moment to think about, and looking at the rosters too, just across the board, so much tier 2 talent that I can imagine is going to be picked up quite soon. Facility being one of those which we touched on earlier when we casted. Such a prominent DPS player that's been in the EU scene for such a long time.
You could create a pretty good contenders team out of just Team Netherlands. It'd be pretty easy to fly all these guys out as well. Facility trying to look to get something done with his aggressive play, but he tempers it, keeps himself alive. That's what's most important here.
Facility going past the low. Yeah, you're going to have to back off a little bit quicker than that. Almost goes down, but Henningson's going to be the first casualty. Dan's going to fall as well, so a little bit more even this time around as Fisher goes high in the sky, looking for the kill.
The tree!
Oh, the tree is actually the MVP for Crusade, saving his life. A rotation for Denmark onto the point. They're finding capture percentage as well as Shax cleans up Crusade in the courtyard. And Denmark find their first cap of Lijiang.
Find their first fight win of the map as well, Jaws. Shax is taken down. Bruce is going to have to get himself out, but it does look like there's not going to be much to save Netherlands in this fight. Reset, try again. Kellex ready to go with the sandbar. This can be said of Crusade. Soon the Sigmas are going to be catching up. Can these sandbarriers be forced? We haven't seen too many interrupted sandbarriers yet, just a couple. You can see right now, spotted out was Fisher. Bruce is trying to force him out. Going to have to rejoin his team.
Oh my god, Dan's going so low. You see him drop there, and the entirety of Denmark just pushed past his shield. That early shield drop kind of led to his death.
And that early drop, Jaws, remember Denmark didn't really have to invest anything to make this work. They're going to have 6 ultimates ready for this next fight after just a couple of seconds of brawling. Henningsen will have that supercharge ready to go. It's going to be so hard for the Netherlands to try and siege into it, but they're up to only 45%. Netherlands can afford to lose this next fight, drain that ultimate bank, then come in for a retake at about maybe 80-90.
Bruce, how does he play this around though? I mean, he's got the flux, but Denmark can just back off rather easily. They've got 6 ults online as well. Maybe only needs to expend 1. There's the flux up in the sky. Netherlands use the beat in return. Now Shax and Fisher can set up almost perfectly. They're waiting for the halt and the grab in, but look at this. Scalar just ripping through the shields with the coalescence. He finds 2, and in fact a 3rd as Crusade goes down as well. Scalar looking for the 4th, but no, he can't be that aggressive without the help of his Lucio, of course. Molfik finds the melee kill, and Denmark setting up for success now as they approach 80%.
100-0 deserves a 100-0, and it will be gained in just 1 fight here for Denmark. They've got 2 ults to make it work. They have themselves a Death Blossom, Jaws. Brewster needs to be the one to interrupt this. We need to see an accretion. We need to see a kinetic grasp. Mitigate Shax's damage.
They're taking the fight really early, and why wouldn't you? Netherlands have to touch the payload, the point at this rate, and 8-10 comes back with 3-4 kills. Brewster finds 1 with the flux as well. That is the turnaround they needed. And Denmark, I felt like they played that almost perfectly, apart from dying. Of course, they're taking the fight so early because you're forcing Netherlands into almost a lose-lose situation where you have to almost int onto the enemy team to try and get to the point and touch to cause OT. It was all up to A10, pulled the trigger and it made it work.
Speaking of losing situations right now, Jaws, Netherlands can't lose another fight, although we're losing this stage. We don't have many ults to play with. Denmark's just going to get aggressive.
They're going to use the beat, why not? Let's go. Straight away, Shax finds 2 with the Death Blossom. Tri-Spear trying to salvage the fight with the Coalescence, but ain't going to work. Shax just holding M1. Holding W. Dan's eventually takes him down, but Denmark are going to cap the point in the meantime. Fisher's still alive as OT ticks through. No one from Netherlands there to touch. And they tie Lijiang Tower up. What a piece.
Not quite at 100-0. Maybe we're a little bit misled, Jaws, when it came to the power of Netherlands versus Denmark in that first stage. Whenever control can be a fickle beast. It can show the worst parts of a team as well as the best parts of a team. It all comes down to this, who's going to be claiming our first map and put themselves effectively on match point in our group stage match right here. We're going over to Control Center. This is where the Doomfists reign supreme.
Both teleporting out as well, using the Sims. That's what Netherlands had advantage on Gardens. They had the priority positioning, and like you said before, Fickle Mistress is control. Normally the first team to cap does end up winning it out more often than not. Just the way that ults work and how these comps specifically gain so much ult charge when they're on the defense, just poking people out. Henningsen hooking towards Dan, just taking so little damage. Sorry, Dan's the one taking damage, and instantly him going down is kind of it really for Netherlands. The rest of Denmark just speed on through the rest of the shields. They're going to get chased off, and Denmark are going to be able to find the first cap.
And Jaws here, it seems to be that what was so good for Netherlands in their first stage here, aggression, is what really defines who's going to be winning this. Whoever dares wins in this particular meta, because Doomfist needs to take so many opportunities. Fish is trying to show off some tech here, will get himself up onto the high ground. That means he'll get a good drop down, potentially catch out some unexpected members of Netherlands. This charges up the punch here. Here it is.
85%, now 90, now 100. Easy game, getting the ultimate. However, you've got to be able to combine this with something. Potentially just goes for more of a vanilla Meteor Strike, but he made it work, separating the rest of Netherlands as Dan ends up getting isolated once again. And Shax is just on fire on this Reaper. I mean, he's not even checking the other DPS. In fact, you see a lot of Reapers sometimes just check the Doomfist. They do fly in. Shax's main priority is punishing Dan's when he pushes forward into Henningson's and even through Henningson's shield.
Yeah, Henningson's definitely getting a lot more peel right here compared to Dan's just getting run into, and Shax is a huge part of that. Not only is it peeling for Henningson, but he's making sure that shield war is won. He's making sure that tank health war is won, meaning that there's so much that has to be given to Dance from both Tri-Speed and Crusade. That means that there are other people who can check the Doomfist.
That hold from Dance is a little bit questionable. They're not really comboing too well with the halts currently. Flux didn't really find anybody. They found Dance, but he did use that shift. Quite easily gets out of that. Damage resistance too to send the rest of Denmark reeling. They have got the beat to back them up with as well. They do launch themselves in as Tri-Speed use that coalescence. Denmark are going to have to come up with something rather special as A10 jumps to the back. Not quite enough was that beat from Kellex to save Scalar. And now A10 taking the 1v1, trying to kill off Shax, but it's the main tank duel here in the front line. Is just being won out by Denmark. 80% plus now. As Netherlands need to get back. They got both tank ults, but that's just about it.
One last fight to try and survive on Lijiang Tower Jaws and Netherlands. They've already used 4 ults of that past fight. Denmark's got nothing to play with here. Shax is going to be the closest. Bruceson and Dance, they need to stagger these out effectively. They need to make sure that mitigation cannot be used to deal with both of these tank ultimates. Shax in the back. He's got eyes on Bruce. Bruce forced out the fade.
Already in Flux being used by Bruce and didn't find all of anything, and he took an aerial view of the rest of his team going down. A10 at least finds Shax, but Fisher is still untouched in the middle of the Denmark roster. And now Tri-Spear getting back onto the point just in time to try and save A10. But it is Netherlands looking and searching for this desperation pick to cause the flip, but it's not going to be enough. Denmark take Lijiang Tower 2-1.
They had to download the critical information, Jaws, and once they had it in hand, they grabbed it hard and they ran with it. Going up 1-0 here over Denmark. Going to be heading over to Hybrid next. We'll see if there will be any changes in strategy, whether we're going to see Fisher versus Facility on the Pharahs again. Facility seemed pretty happy to go for a Pharah 1v1 with Jinmu, so we should be fairly happy to do it with Fisher as well.
Yeah, I can vote to a very, very good map to do that on. Wouldn't be too surprised to see the Pharah. Maybe a little bit of Bastion too. Bastion Pharah has been the name of the game for a lot of teams currently.
Shax is a pretty good Bastion as well.
Yeah.
It feels like Wolf is definitely up there with the cerebral breed of Sigma. Kind of like Tech 36, who are very good at dealing with the main counter to the Bastion in the current meta, which is, of course, Mei enter a wall, force up the Bastion, put him away from all of that shielding. But if you are a good Sigma, you can get a proper angle to shield the Bastion even when he is placed up. That's the value of a instantly replaceable shield from Sigma.
Yeah, not only that, you can like half body block as well. Because if you get lifted up too, you can just stand in front of the Bastion, and then if you take too much damage, you can use Grasp. And what does Grasp do? Well, it absorbs everything and then turns it into Overshield.
So you can continue body blocking.
So you can continue body blocking with 1 billion health. And then the Bastion stays alive, and then you hopefully win from there.
And works for France.
They did indeed.
And work for either of these teams. Eichenwald is the chosen hybrid map, Jaws. And here we can see a defensive Pharah. We've talked about Pharahs before, but I want to bring it back to Facility. He was trying to deal with Jinmu. Jinmu was often winning these out, but that's not to say that Facility was a non-factor in there. I think he was getting quite a few good direct hits, occasionally winning these duels. And it seemed like he and Crusade are a noteworthy pharmacy combo. Could the same be achieved by Fisher? Fisher's, I think, a pretty good Pharah, but I think definitely the Doomfist is more of his speed.
Oh, no, 100%. Fisher's Doomfist definitely up there in terms of best Doomfist in EU. Of course, he went to Gauntlet with HSL. Didn't do so hot against international competition, but Denmark here proving themselves to be quite a force to be reckoned with. And like we said before, same with the Netherlands, dark horse of the tournament, absolutely. After that extraordinarily long day yesterday of games, I think many people really expected it. Well, of us expected it. Okay, of us, yeah, we'll give you some props there. But taking down the giants,
it was a long shot pred.
Yeah,
it was for clout pred, really.
Sure.
If it was wrong, everyone would have expected it anyway. But I want to talk about his main tanks as well, because often when you and I talk about Henningson, whether it's in Overwatch Contenders or in the Gauntlet, we talk about Henningson as the newbie. He's the new guy. He's the guy who hasn't really been there for long. He's on this fantastic upward trajectory that took him to Korea, including a Contenders win in EU. But here, he's actually the veteran. He's on with all of this competitive experience compared to Dance, who's more of like a tier 3 ladder star. the guy gets a lot of experience, but not really at the same tier that Henningsen has. So here, it's all up to Dance to try and go even with a more established tank. And I can't believe I'm referring to Henningsen as a veteran.
Henning is rather scrappy when it comes to play as well. It was a little bit passive, and that was one of the main criticisms that we did have at Gauntlet. The way other tanks were just kind of rolling over him. I remember the matchup, him versus Gig, where Gig was just pushing into it, literally just pushing into him. Yeah, he was just pushing into him. He was just holding W, putting the shield behind Henningsen so he couldn't get as much healing as he needed to sustain himself. And then Henningsen falling back, and it definitely feels like Henningsen has fixed those issues coming into the World Cup. So that question has really just been erased, really.
Yeah, both Henningsen and Fish are part of that HSL roster who were notoriously much better at being very slow. Just a far more methodical approach, far less aggressive. And I feel that's why Netherlands was much more effective in that first round of control. Just get aggressive as you would like. And it took a while for Denmark to really shake out of the defensive style that these two prefer. And they were like, okay, we're going to have to aggress just as much back. We've got to try and beat them at their own game, because if we wait for Netherlands to act, Vasili's going to get a pick, bro.
Vasili was known for his Doomfist just a little bit in EU for a while. There was a brief meta where we saw
the Hanamura A defense.
The Hanamura A defense, yeah, with the Doomfist, where Vasili would just sit up on the high ground, wait for people to roll on in the door, and then just go for the big seismic slam, the uppercut to isolate somebody, and then, you know, rocket punch to get away, or the other way around, the uppercut to get away. Just give yourself a bit of a aerial velocity to shift yourself out of harm's way, and then rocket punch to try and get an isolation kill. But now Netherlands going down a map does mean they get to choose sides, so defense is going to be their main plan. Denmark are going to be on the offense. They aren't going to go with the Bastion, no Pharah to be seen either. It's just going to be Mei Reaper.
Oh, the Mei Reaper's kind of interesting. They used this against Chinese Taipei in their first bracket A semi-finals that we casted, trying to deal with Chinese Taipei's habitual use of the Sombra. Oh my, okay.
Oh my goodness, if Crusade went down there, I don't think he would have forgiven himself.
Yeah, that would have been quite the joke, but I think he would get back in time if Netherlands had a good disengagement right here. Fisher going to move over, of course, onto the Doomfist. They're pretty confident just taking the Doomfist Reaper here, because they're going to have that advantage we've talked about so many times before of Reaper Doomfist versus Doomfist Mei.
Wow, what a wall. Yeah, no, you can see Scaler just trying to jump around it. Ain't going to happen, buddy, unfortunately. Henningsen does end up going down, but they do trade as Fisher finds the uppercut kill onto Dance. Bit of a longer walk here for Netherlands.
Unlucky for him. Brusen now just going to be going in with those hyperspheres. I feel like Denmark need to potentially allow Fisher and Shax to make their engagements first, so that the wall isn't used on the tank line while there's a distraction onto Vasility. You need to try and tax that mental bandwidth, get him looking in multiple places at once. Now, Dance is back.
What an uppercut from Fisher there. Do you see 3 people getting launched into the air? Dance gets completely isolated now. Fisher going to go down to Jonah, but the Coalescence is just forcing people and corralling them really into this pub. And now the brawl will start as the Coalescence now comes out from Tri-Spear. Scaler going to use the cover of the payload itself in order to scurry behind it, trying to heal everybody else up, but the juice is pretty low. He's going to have to recover some of it, and now is the time to strike if you're Netherlands. You got the flux at hand, and Shax is already down.
And he is. May not even need it right here. There is going to be a savior of ults here from the Netherlands, managing to bring it out. And they are only going to lose Crusade. He's going to be back fairly quickly. Jonah now, he can drop in behind Team Denmark if he's not discovered. We need to see Molf right now. He needs to be making the check straws. He needs to be doing what we'd usually call Sombra checks at this point, is Reaper checks. He needs to see Hyperspheres coming in through this little window. Try and find Jonah, because if they're not expecting his drop down, this could be absolutely
He's
deadly.
dropping down. There's the flux. There's the beat. It's going to absorb most of it. That grass was going to give Molfig a lot of HP as well. Fisher launching himself to the back line, finds that uppercut kill onto Brusen. Might be able to get out alive. No, he does not. Crusade chasing him down with the boot. Once again, Netherlands coming out on top. Denmark weren't really expecting the hidden Reaper, but it didn't matter in the end.
I feel though, Jaws, that Denmark got a fair amount of value there. Like they used their sound barrier, but they took out not only the sound barrier, not only the Gravitic Flux, but the Death Blossom too. Now, those 2 tools aren't available for the Netherlands. We're going to have to try and use the Supercharge to build it back up. And Crusade, he's going to have to be able to answer Molf and this Gravitic Flux at least.
What a first pick. And the wall as well to be used as a backboard. There's nothing really you can do. Kalex is the only member alive for Denmark. Rushes back to spawn, and now 1 minute remaining. Netherlands looking to full hold this map right here, right now.
It's all about tempo, 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 and that's what May gives you. Doesn't let you choose when your main tanks are going to engage. Sure, Fisher can go in and try and get a pick, but when you're holding up this choke, your main tanks are going to be held back.
Flux is coming up. 2 people isolated in the air, but the beat's going to come down rather late. Bruceson didn't receive any of it, but he's still alive in the back. Scalar chunking people through the shields, and now Denmark making their way onto the point. A wall for the isolation, but Denmark are going to be able to subvert it and regroup as 6 around it. And it's all going to be up to Shax here, trying to find a big Beyblade, but can he do it? Fisher's already found 1 kill in Tri-Spear, lands the Meteor Strike as well. And this is what Denmark were looking for. The kill onto Crusade will end it all, and Denmark will find the first point cap.
Netherlands, though, they can be very happy with this. Shores, only 23 seconds remained on the clock when Denmark managed to take point A. And now Netherlands, they can hold very aggressively. You can see Fisher right now, he's having a bit of a scout, trying to hear those footsteps. Where's everybody at? I need to charge him a punch, get an early pick, make sure the Netherlands can't claim as much space as they would like. Otherwise, they'll be taking an undermanned first engagement. Fisher, ready to come in from the back. You can see his silhouette. He's ready to charge up that punch. A second, but everyone's distracted. In he comes.
Yeah, Visibility's got the ult, though. And look at the Netherlands ticks all around. Coalescence used. Jonah as well, diving on forward. Most of that got eaten by the grass, but because it's out, Visibility gets a free blizzard. And the rest is history as Denmark is sent back to spawn.
Jonah gonna have to respawn now, has to come back, join his team. Well, Denmark, they're all back. Right now, there's a 5v6 on the cart in favor of Denmark. We're gonna back off, we're gonna give away this space. They need Jonah back, they can't take it. Baba Reaper, Scalar, Coalescence ready to go. He's got an advantage over Tri-Spear here.
That's a big flux. Kalex doesn't have ult either, he's 1% away. If he gets this off, this could be big. He does. Denmark, 5 overshields have been placed down. There's going to be Dan's hiding around the corner using that supercharger. Henningsen gets instantly deleted by Jonah, and a perfect hold, bringing everybody in together. Molfik bringing everybody sky high as well, but he gets frozen on the high ground and little to no damage to follow it up. He's so low, and now the Coalescence for the additional pressure in the front line from Tri-Spear is as good as over for Denmark's next push.
Shields can't save you now, and Denmark, their time bank is whittling away, Jaws. 1 minute and 24 seconds remains. They didn't have a large one to begin with. 2 fights have so quickly come away from them. Supercharger's ready to go. So beautiful Death Blossom. This is a very potent combo. It can deliver so much burst damage, but it's hard to try and react to it. Right now, maybe you try and just get a solo pick onto Crusade, get that 5v6 advantage, and use the supercharger to win that 5v6.
Oh, there it is, but hits the wall. Shax in the back line does have the Death Blossom, but Fisher once again coming up with the initial kill. In fact, Fisher with 3. Oh my goodness. Fisher, we talked about how maybe he'd play Farah, but we said no, actually not. He's going to play Doomfist. Doomfist definitely his best hero currently in this meta, and you can see exactly why.
And it's exactly that value that you need to be getting out of your Doomfist, Jaws. Fish needs to be getting these opening picks. If he's not, then Facility, once the fight starts to break down, he's getting so much control, he's making comms panic, and when people panic, they make mistakes. No one sees Fisher right now.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Try and get that, but no. No one's going to hit the wall. It's going to have to be another engagement.
Oh, the boot! No, they landed it! Oh my god,
that's a
3-point landing. 10s all around. Coalescence though, and that's actually going to buy Netherlands so much space here as well. They might as well have been dead, to be fair.
Effectively dead.
Because Denmark weren't 6, they were 4.
He's dead.
Well, obviously, yeah, he's dead now. Thank you for the kill feed, Harry.
Yeah, well,
now, Netherlands, look at the ults they have online, Harry. 4 of them moving on to this next point. Denmark need to be able to touch the payload as well. And the issue is, OT ticking through. Shax is going to get frozen too. This is Netherlands holding right here. Fischer's going to come up big, but he's frozen up, or almost at least. Goes into the Meteor Strike. But Facility and Jonah, they got the overshields. They got what's necessary. Kalex and Crusade trade boop kills, but it's all over for Denmark's push. Netherlands had way too many ults to defend, and they will hold Denmark just before second.
That could have very quickly gone wrong when Crusade went in, got halted by the 2 members who he attempted to boop off. He found himself a Reaper, he found himself in the wrist, was like, oh yeah, this is going to be another cool boop. Gets halted in, straight away gets a body shot from a Hellfire shotgun, rips him apart. Netherlands though, managing to grasp a hold of the advantage that they had, ripping apart Denmark as they came in 1 by 1. Denmark now, not in the best condition when it comes to win conditions, Jaws. Netherlands can very easily tie up our series and take us to that decider on Escort. I want to see if it got defensive Farah. Fisher can roll out with it right now. Seems like he's very confident on the Doomfist, like we've said before, but...
Yeah, I don't think there's any way around it on Farah here. Like, Doomfist is just really good on this point as well. Although Farah obviously has his merits, but when you're defending against this choke, you got to think about how many backboards there are for people to fly into. You've got to either move around on the right-hand side here through this glass shop, or you move up to the left-hand side and then go near the stairs and then round to the car. In a sense, you can almost bait the enemy team inside. Okay, so push into us is not a problem, and then set your Doomfist up for success. Even with an isolation with an uppercut, is more than enough some of the time to actually either gain a kill or make enough space for your Reap to move forward.
And you can definitely see with this Doomfist-centric strategy because of where Henningson's putting his shields right here, Jules, making sure that there is going to be an onus on Dance to try and run through a shield, put down a shield inside of that, and then get some healing. Jonah going to open up with this Widowmaker, will not get the first pick. It was a valiant gambit. Scouting is done, moving over onto the real pump, as some would call it. Facility, no longer going to play around on the May. Wants to go on with Doomfist instead. He's confident with trying to mirror this one out. They've discovered the location of Shax as well. Will he decide to stay here is the question.
Nice little rocket mid-air. Fish is taken care of almost. Henningson finds the kill onto Dan's though. Push them back for the time being. See, here's what I said before. It's kind of playing out quite well for me at this point, as they do end up trying to push through, and then Denmark just push back with their own Doomfist. But Fisher does get taken out. He shouldn't be too long back to the point, but it's still going to give Netherlands a little bit of time.
Quick 5v6 can be used right here. Shax is disengaged as well. Denmark now going to have to coalesce as a 6 and never get their fair fight, but it's going to be on the cart. We're giving up for choke control right here, and almost Tie-Spear has his coalesce.
Oh, not anymore!
Did he use it?
He got actually destroyed by Fisher on the sidelines. Jonas taking the 1v1 versus Henningson, make that a 2v1. Come on, just give him the 1v1 at least. Nice little punch from Kellex to finish off Bruce as well. Nice little defense to start off the map for Denmark.
I feel like the biggest hack in Overwatch right now would be a mental clock when you kill the Doomfist as to when he's going to be coming back into that fight, because so many times you see Doomfists who are taken out, no one really expects the timing of how quickly they're going to get back. They get an early pick and just turn a fight around even though they're picked first. Netherlands now coming back in, almost half their time bank is gone, feels like barely a few seconds have elapsed.
Oh, that big punch, I swear, and I think Facility thought as well that did connect with somebody, but, well, it connected, but didn't hit it.
He's going in.
Yeah, he's just feeding himself. I mean, there's no point escaping there, I guess.
They're just getting a little bit of extra ult charge. He's got that meteor strike ready to go. Same for Fisher. That means both of these Doomfists, their playstyle is about to change significantly. With that meteor strike, you know that you can save yourself when you get into trouble, providing you don't get stunned by an accretion. That's a very
aggressive hold. Oh, Facility almost goes down to a punch from Fisher. Both meteor strikes being used, but Fisher in the back! 3 kills with a meteor strike. Waves goodbye as Netherlands get team killed.
Henningson and Fisher coming together from HSL Esports. They won EU contenders. They went to Gauntlet, wasn't quite as good, but evidently the Orisa, the Doomfist, now is their wheelhouse. Netherlands looking towards dire straits. 1 minute and 30 remains in their time bank. They've only got a singular ultimate. They've almost got 3, but they're going to have to win a fight to make it work.
Death Boss and Vela for Shax as well. The beat's going to come out. He's going to wait for this overshield to time out. And in fact, the rest of Denmark are going to backpedal almost. They know they can rely on Kellex's ult here for the flux. That's exactly what's going to happen. And Crusade ends up going down. This is looking so good for Denmark right now. Although Shax is dead, he tries to use the ult too aggressively, and Dan takes him out. Both tanks from Netherlands now pushing forwards onto the payload. They're going to get some a capture percentage, but there's 1 minute now remaining for them. Denmark aren't going to be able to touch, but there is a clear win condition now for Netherlands. Get up and around through the doors, near to the bridge, and they'll take the W.
It's all about the tank line. Netherlands now, what was looking so good for Denmark, it looks incredibly good for them. 3 minutes to only travel 83 meters. Denmark right now, if they want to win this, they're going to hold at the door, and they have the momentum to do it. Brewson's down. Will Netherlands take this fight?
I don't think they will. I don't think it's any point, really. Main tank goes down, or even just one tank goes down. Like, what's the point in fighting? Dance is getting bullied at this point. Supercharger going out. Jonah finds 1 kill, but it's trading off to Facility. Now they can just push on forward as Denmark press an S. Phase being used already by the Reaper. That's bad news bears for you as Bruceson takes up a double kill. And now the rest of Netherlands corralling onto Denmark. Bruceson with a triple, but this is still defensible by Denmark here, as it does take a little bit of time for the Netherlands to open the gates.
Time passes second by second. 2 minutes and 30 left, and only 60 meters stand between Netherlands and drawing up this series, bringing themselves towards a reverse sweep technically of Denmark. Denmark, they have a lot of ultimates, Jaws. Both of the tank ultimates, that's a lot of firepower available, as well as trying to combine them maybe with that Meteor Strike. We've seen Fisher and Henningsen combine these before to such high power.
Shax half on ult charge. Facility does end up going down though to Fisher. And now a Flux is coming out. They waited for Henningsen's Fortify as well. This is almost perfect. And Netherlands are still pushing the payload. This could just be it. Fisher with the perfect opening kill. Is it going to be able to find anything more? Dan just punches him to death. And Denmark are going to fall. Netherlands, they're going to tie up the series. What a piece.
Excellent showcase here from the Netherlands tank line. They were so instrumental in taking that first point, Jaws. Dance with the accuracy on the fusion drive for Orisa, something we rarely talk about, but he was just getting so much done. Using the supercharger, he does a surprising amount of damage. Denmark, second that they lost that fight, they knew they had to get aggressive. They had to burn that time bank. They had to make sure that every single meter would be paid for by the Dutch in blood. They just didn't take account of Jonah and their backline. It all comes back to Jonah just hiding out. Supercharger goes down. He manages to one-shot Crusade, or rather he manages to one-shot Kellex, and then it all falls apart. Denmark no longer have their main caller in that fight.
It was such a beautiful Flux as well. Seeing Henning go golden, it's like, wow, this is my time. I can start channeling the Flux and then wait it out. Hey, no Fortify available now. Boom, straight up in the air. Exactly. Crashes back down to earth. Just percentage damage, of course. And as soon as Henning's life is destroyed, and as soon as Flux is sent out as well, it creates a massive area denial. And guess what happens? Well, you're immobile in the air, really. I mean, you can move just a little bit, but it's not enough to actually move towards the payload. And like you said, right at the very end, Netherlands were just continually moving it. There was no one from Denmark, because they dropped down from up high, to actually touch payload to contest. And that was it.
They dropped him behind. They were going for the old wraparound, but when you do the wraparound, you've got to continue pressing W to a point where you can actually, contest the cart. If not, then you are just continually having a fight, whether you're winning or losing, where your win condition is quite literally rolling away from you.
Escort is the next game type. We will be jumping over to Rialto.
Okay. I'd like to see some aggressive holds here. We may see a Bastion. Bastion seems to have been the play of the day over the course of our preliminaries. Just set up a Bastion, set up a Pharah. A lot of teams are currently very excited about the dual unit approach, especially for teams that haven't had too much experience together. That's when you can really strain the comms.
Well, speaking about straining comms, or rather the other way around, it's really been just such a showing from Fisher and Henning, just being able to combine so well. Control obviously did go to Denmark, and even in the loss on Hybrid, it's still very evident that Fisher and Henning have been working so incredibly hard on this synergy. The Holt is just such a strong ability. It is, in essence, a mini grav where it pulls everybody into one singular point.
And it's a grab where you can choose the trajectory and the pull point.
Well, exactly.
In some ways, it's more powerful.
And then it's so easily coupled with so many of Doomfist's abilities. Not only, obviously, the easiest one to say would be the Meteor Strike, but the Rocket Punch, and even the Uppercut as well. Not only does it
too.
Yeah, Seismic Slam. Literally everything of Doomfist's kit.
When you're hitting more people with those abilities because of a Holt, you're generating more shields, so you can stay in there using your primary fire for a longer time. It also means you're far less likely to get picked off when trying to pull off that combo. It's such a good ability. That's why Orisa's been meta for so long, because people have just really min-maxed how they're using the Holt and how they're combining it with other heroes.
Yeah, we really saw Orisa come to the forefront when London Spitfire ended up winning, obviously. All those, it feels like years
Grav
and years
Dragons.
ago. Yeah, where the Grav Dragons were so prominent. But it was Pull Dragons. That was the big thing in that meta, where it was the Holt was used as a mini Grav to pull people in, and then the Dragons were either on their way or just instantly used as soon as both abilities were clicked, right? As soon as the Holt is like dragging people in, you've got just a microsecond to try and get away from its grasp and get out of the tether range. And sometimes
you can just use the Dragons to just obscure the Holt coming in. Those things are bright.
Yeah.
Especially if they're on your side as well, just blinding white light. Won't see the Holt coming through and catch you by surprise. And if you're caught by surprise, you may not be ready when you get pulled into that particular combo. I think that's one of the reasons why the Overwatch team decided to invent Baptiste of the Immortality field to try and get away from those sorts of combos.
And Immortality is pretty crazy on its own, let's be real with ourselves. I can't imagine we're going to see him here, to be honest with you. Not too much Bastion to be had just yet. And Rialto, I guess it does aid Bastion just a little bit, but I think we're going to see, well, if we see Pharah, it's going to be on this map, 100%. But I think it's still going to be Fisher on Doom. I wouldn't be too surprised. It will be ignore the Pharah game for Denmark, if anything.
Going to and fro here and there. We see that both of our teams, they're fairly happy to go for this mirror matchup, Jaws. Question is, at what point does one of them break the stalemate? We're now 1-1 with both teams either playing Doom Reaper or Reaper May. And maybe someone's going to bring out another composition. Evidently, we're having an extended little halftime here so everyone can talk to their coaches, try and figure out what the play style of the opposing team may be and where the cracks within the armor they present are, and where you can really dig in your claws and try and rend them asunder.
Yeah. We'll come back to our cam. Yeah, it's a bit of extended break, so, you know, instead of just staring at that screen, because you know what it's for. You know what it's for. You know it's going to be Rialto. But let's talk about how Netherlands really came to the forefront of being this dark horse. Yes, Avast, I know you said they were going to make it, but I had very, very high hopes for Finland, who've consistently done well in World Cup, and every player on that team has consistently done well just individually as well. And you've got to say, with Netherlands beating them out, not only is that just a crazy boost in confidence, but making it this far too, with players that aren't all on Overwatch League teams or heading there, you know. It's another situation where you are selling yourself as a player to a lot of the scouts.
And also, we've seen what confidence can do for a team. France getting 0-3'd by the United States. They managed to clutch it out against South Korea, and suddenly they're just destroying the United Kingdom in many ways. Like, it was a 2-1, but the second that they really discovered, hey, we can just play Bastion and Pharah, and these guys have no idea what to do against it. It was just easy clap for the French side.
And it was. Let's get into game, though. Rialto being our final map. Netherlands 1, Denmark 1. This will decide the series, of course. And with the loser of the last map being Denmark, they get to choose the side they want to start on. So they're going with the defense. Fisher on the May, Shax on the Reaper.
Okay, question is, where's Jonah going to go? My bet would be Reaper. Both of our teams seem fond of just going for an early Widowmaker peek. Seeing as that you will just have a fantastically long sightline here towards the end. Henningson's actually placing his shield in a very aggressive position. This is really good for Holt if the Netherlands find themselves unprepared. Jonah looks for a couple of headshots. No one's going to peek out this time. They've learned their lesson, even though none of them were ever punished for it. Now Vasily coming in from the other side. He has been discovered by the Moira Orb, so right now the information is being fed back to Denmark. They're going to be ready when it comes to this engagement.
Oh, that was almost the perfect punch. Oh, Tri-Spit just dies. I think maybe faded off the edge, or
probably got halted, then faded, so it sort of cancelled the interaction, but he was too far off.
Kellex finds 2 kills. That's lovely jubbly.
Okay, Netherlands need a new approach now. Maybe they won't be able to touch the cart. Maybe they'll all have to go around the other side. They can wrap around the left, as according to our camera view at the moment, and come in from behind Denmark, potentially. Or they can go around the right, but that's also very difficult to try and survive on. Okay, they're just going to continue going for this.
Oh, another attempted boost. See that accretion, though? Just sends Kellex flying. Scaler's going to go pretty low as well. Coalescence is going to be used first up. Tri-Spit nowhere really near here. Well, it's got 90%, but it might just, the fight might just be over before it starts. I say that as Vidality finds the punch onto Fisher. Oh my goodness. Scaler's very, very early Coalescence didn't really aid Denmark at all in that engagement. In fact, Tri-Spit came out ahead in that situation. Again, the backboards you can set people up on as the Doomfist on this point is just, they're just so deadly if you're the defense. Those pillars can be so dangerous for you to stand behind.
And they are, Jaws. Netherlands now going to start moving this cart forward. It took about a minute and a half to get out of spawn because of some protracted fights, but Jonah and Vigility now have a premium on this high ground. If Jonah is undiscovered, he can drop down using this. He's forced out Shax, and that. That's going to be great now. He can use his Death Blossom. He can maybe try and catch out Kellex as well. Both Kellex and the Reaper will be primary targets for his ult.
There's the what is this? He spotted Kellex. He just leaped into the air. He used Death Blossom. Vigility now in the back. If he can find the cancel, yeah, that would be perfect. A beautiful wall though coming out from Fisher to stop that from happening, but that meteor strike sure does land on Scalar's head, and Denmark are going to get routed on this point. They use the beat to re-engage though. Yes, they are, and Dan's going to get frozen up. This could be perfect for them, actually. If Facility stays in this fight, it might be good, because this Coalescence is shredding through the health bar of Molfig.
They can't finish off Wolf right now. Trispears using his fade. It's an all-out brawl, but Denmark, they're so close to the spawn in Netherlands. Their respawn's taking so long to return. What a decision from Kellex there. We thought it may have been a foolhardy beat, but no, it gave the 4 members of Denmark the presence they needed to remain in that fight and start to clutch up, using the geometry to their advantage. And Denmark invested so much in that fight, Jaws. Both their support ultimates and a Death Blossom and a Supercharger. Netherlands are now going to come in. They got a Gravitic Flux.
It's too late. It's already over. You lose Jonah so early on in the fight. What's the point, really, of pushing on? You might as well reset. Of course, you've only got a minute remaining. You want to make every second count. Rialto, one of the historically most defendable first points in the game. I said we shield there from Bruce. Very good.
Making sure. He sends out one of his own. Maybe it'll hit someone. Don't think it'll be overly effective at this point. Denmark now, they can smell victory, Jaws. 45 seconds separate then from a first point hold here on Rialto, but Netherlands have got a lot of tools to say about that. Bruson looking for an early engage with the Gravitic Flux. Neo has already used it.
Fisher needs this Blizzard Band. Defensive Blizzard's going to be paramount. A perfect Meteor Strike coming out from Facility. Coalescence coming out as well, just to make sure they can buy enough space and time, but Scalar finds one in Facility. Dan's going to go down as well. This Blizzard was absolutely perfect from Fisher, split up the entirety of the Netherlands squad, and now there's only 20 seconds remaining. Shax finds yet another kill, and this might just be it. Netherlands are on their last limbs, Harry.
Henningsen, he's changed over onto a Wrecking Ball. Will he decide to stick on this? Will he go back over onto that Orisa? Netherlands now, they need to grasp to life. These underdogs have 5 seconds remaining.
Death Blossom available as well now for Shax. He can get on top of the payload. OT ticking down. Netherlands, desperation plays, and Scalar from a mile away just right-clicks Crusade to death.
Beautiful.
Harry, this is going to be it. Fisher taking out Dan's, and a first point hold is real. Netherlands get wiped, and Denmark are going to be able to hold on first. Netherlands have the tallest mountain to climb. Denmark basically need to win 1.5 fights, and it secures them the series.
Netherlands are going to have to be very aggressive on this defense, Jaws. They're going to make every single meter be paid for in so much blood. Denmark, they've got plenty of blood, Jaws. They just bleed all of this red. Question is, will they be able to clutch it up here? This is so winnable. Both of these teams, I would consider underdogs in our current group. Beating out Russia, maybe. Being out Canada, certainly. Being out China, maybe in the bracket later. If they can both get there, they're hungry for wins to make sure they can get through to the bracket stage. We'll have to see what Netherlands are about to roll out with. Will it be anything special, or the old reliable? Facility back on the May. We saw from Fisher how effective this can be, especially in that final choke. That final tunnel you currently see, this is the fateful area of Rialto. Every single centimeter, every millimeter of movement inside that choke has to be fought for so hard.
You can see in them stacking their defensive tools definitely in their favor, with Facility changing over to the May. Doesn't want to go on Doomfist. He knows well, Fisher's definitely not playing Torb there. Thank you, Fisher.
It's a control turret in case we're trying to spawn camp.
Ah, yes, the control turret that does negative damage.
Fisher just going to be the opportunist. He knows he's got 4 minutes. They need to win 1.5 fights, Jaws. That's 2 opening picks that he could really use, and then just a clean fight after that. Why wouldn't you pick the Doomfist? It's just working so well considering the win conditions that you have. No one wants to get hold off the edge right now. They're allowing Shax to get into position. He has been found out, though. There is going to be an aggressive...
forced to use the fade, but Jonah definitely had. This is bad news for Netherlands right now. Shax can just basically walk forward. Just with immunity, there's nothing they can really do. A beautiful hold sends them all together. A punch onto Bruson. Netherlands have one more defense really in this now before they get taken out by Denmark.
This is dire straits for the Netherlands, Jaws. They're going to have to set up in the tunnel. There's no other place that's as defensible here. They're not going to get this first corner that Denmark currently rounding. They're not going to be able to get anything else. Shaxx and Fisher, they can set themselves up here on the high ground. You can see that Fisher's already up there. Shaxx has used his Wraith form. Not going to be able to be as aggressive. There are no ultimates available either. Tries to be almost as a coalescence, but it's going to be a tale of two of them. As Netherlands have to van down the hatches. The storm is coming from Denmark and they need to survive.
Coalescence coming out first from Scalar. The wall's going to block most of it off, but you got to concentrate on the focus bar on Henningsen. You can't let him get away with anything, but you can't let Fisher get away with anything either. Jonah's going to go down, and this could just be it. They need control in this fight. Facility needs this Blizzard. He's 15% away. Henningsen moving up to Dan.
He's got it.
1v1. He's got the Blizzard, throws it out, and Denmark are going to have to push back now. Facility, just in time, manages to get the ultimate off, but they are still on their last limbs. 0.04 meters remain for Denmark.
The definition of clutch timing, 4 centimeters between them and failure. Them and doom and a Denmark victory. But Denmark, they didn't use anything but a coalescence, Jaws. Look at these tick marks. Scalar's going to have a coalescence just a moment as well. 40% away is a Moira. That's going to take me about 4 seconds worth of a fight. Netherlands have to be aggressive here. Cannot allow Denmark to set up the fight that they want. If Denmark can get the engagement that they want to, this is very much in their favour. Shaxx going to be looking to go for the high ground. You can see him up there with the Sigma. Same with Fisher.
Jonah's getting checked. Harry, they're just going to drop on them like easy peasy. Look at this, Shaxx and the Flux. This could be disaster. Holtz, but the wall's perfect. Facility's going to block all the damage. This is so good. Shaxx can still set up for a kill though. He destroys the shield. He's looking for it. Shaxx gets one. Fisher comes in. He's going to get another. The ult from Shaxx is so good. Jonah, Crusade, they're down, and Netherlands are routed. Denmark pushing forward, a couple of meters will do it. Shaxx finishes off Tri-Spear, and there it is. Denmark take out Netherlands 2-1.
The Danes are going to claim it. Netherlands, underdog versus underdog. But the Scandinavians will come out on top. They have a little bit more name value, a little bit more expertise, and they have made every single inch, every single morsel of it count. Every last second that Henningsen and Fisher have spent together has culminated in these clutch moments, in these plans that have been laid out here.
Denmark and Netherlands looking so strong in their group. Netherlands falling to China a little bit earlier on, but it was a close series. And having a close series up against Denmark here is just so good for the team, but they still desperately need W's on the board. And Denmark, though, my goodness. So much talent laden in the roster. HSL on what seemed like, if we cast our minds back to EU contenders and the finals versus Giganti, it felt like the deck was stacked against them. But Henningsen and Fisher made it work. Obviously didn't have the performance they hoped for in Gauntlet, going up against some of the best free agents or uneligible OWL players, of course. But at World Cup, they've changed it up. Henningsen is like a brand new Orisa, it feels like, just being so much more aggressive and comboing with Fisher is so better. And not only that, Shaxx coming in as not obviously a brand new DPS, but a brand new DPS for Henningsen. He's also comboing with him exceptionally well too. The Netherlands coaching staff has just done absolute wonders.
Holtz can define this meta, Jaws. They certainly defined this match. No rest for the wicked, though. Netherlands will be going up against Russia next here on this channel, but Jaws and I, we've been here for a little while now, 4 matches in a row, so we're going to have some special guests take over Overwatch World Cup 1. Brennan Sideshow are going to be coming in to bring you that match.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. Netherlands need to bounce back. They're going up against Russia a little bit later on, guys. We'll see you soon. Wait.
The 2019 Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by T-Mobile. Their newest signal goes farther than ever, and it's built 5G ready. Omen, the official PC and display of the Overwatch World Cup. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch World Cup.